Hey guys, welcome back to Interesting Video Wild Rift. So they're back with an Ashe commentary guide. We haven't done a commentary guide in a while, and normally we don't do this kind of build, loadout explanations for commentary guides, but seeing as I don't think I will do an Ashe support video as a supplementary guide anytime soon, I'm just going to briefly cover her build. Well, basically, we're going to start off with the Relic Shield for the wave control. We go for Lucidity Boots because we want the lowest cooldown possible, because we want to spam our W. The name of the game is W Spam with Ashe. So you want to get all the items that give you ability haste. So starting off with the Boots 30 ability haste. Obviously, for the enchant, you want to go for some kind of support enchant. So that basically means that you go for something like a Locket or something like Redemption. First item generally is going to be Imperial Mandate, gives you health, AP, as well as ability haste. Your ult does skill with AP, by the way, so that does help your ult damage. But mainly, of course, you not only apply a slow to enemies with your passive, but you also give yourself and allies movement speed when they proc the mark, as well as, of course, deal damage. Then a very common second item that you can skip if there is no shielding on enemy team is Serpent's Fang. So Serpent's Fang gives you a decent amount of AD and armor pen, but mainly you're taking it for the anti-shielding capabilities to basically reduce their shield. Very easy to apply it with your W here. You do want to, of course, skip it if there's no shielding on enemy team. So really only the first item, Imperial Mandate, is core. The rest of the items is kind of variable. So we're getting to the other item options later on. So Black Cleaver here, all the good stats. But what it's really useful for is the armor shred. So of course you can shred up to 24% armor if you stack it 6 times. So what most people don't know is if you activate Ashe Q, your first ability is going to launch 6 arrows when your attack is empowered, and that's going to proc Black Cleaver instantly. So you could proc Black Cleaver on basically every single person on the enemy team, so long as you attack each person 1 time when your empowered Q is up. Empowered auto attack with your Q is up. So very useful. More reminder here, we have it for the armor penetration as well as the grievous wounds, but in this case it's a lot more for the grievous wounds, because remember with Ashe support you won't be doing very much damage, so you want to use it for the armor penetration. So alternative item options is Runaan's Hurricane, just to slow 3 people at the same time as Ashe. You have the ability haste items, which basically constitute Cosmic Drive, which gives you 30 ability haste and of course gives you movement speed as well. Also gives you AP, which helps your ult do more damage. You have Iceborne Gauntlet, which of course applies a slow to your auto attack, feel to your auto attack when you already have existing slow, which kind of helps even more. All the good stats, as well as giving you ability haste, 30 ability haste as well, so that's the most you can get. Frozen Heart, of course, very useful against high attack speed teams. 25 ability haste is the main reason you're getting it though. Runes, Arcane Comet for the poke, Scorch for the poke, Cheap Shot for the poke as well, and Eyeball Collector. You could also go for Zombie Ward if you feel that you can actually get wards in solo queue, and Transcendence for the ability haste. Spells, obviously we go for Flash and Heal being a support, and of all that's it, straight into the gameplay we go. Okay guys, so let's take a look at the gameplay. So this is of course a commentary guide, and this is a normal game. In fact, you can see there's an Ashe ADC on the enemy team. So this is not a ranked game at all. I was just trying Ashe support because, as you guys know, ever since they nerfed W's cooldown and increased the cooldown tremendously, as well as giving Q more attack speed, basically Riot has forced Ashe into being an ADC, because really with those kind of changes, it really just forces you to play Ashe ADC, because you really, as a support, attack speed is not very useful, and of course cooldown in your W is very useful, so they literally are forcing Ashe into the ADC role. So regardless, here we're here to try Ashe support, and I wanted to evaluate how good it really is, of course, because as you guys know, I do tier lists very often, so I kind of need to evaluate how good champions are. So sometimes to do that, I play them in normals. Of course, you could argue that normals, is not exactly the best for evaluating a champion's strengths, because of course you have mirror matchups. Of course, some people don't play as seriously, they play off-roll, etc. But also the same problems with rank, where if you want to test a champion in rank, firstly, you're going to affect your own rank, and secondly, if you don't know how to play the champion well, or if the champion sucks, you're going to affect the rank of your teammates as well if you lose the game. So I just basically choose to test it out in normals, which is exactly what I'm doing here. And so far so good. You can see that the poke we're dealing is insane, and really I haven't actually played Ashe support ever since Arcane Comet was released, so I haven't really seen the power of like Arcane Comet on Ashe. And really, it really increases her poke by quite a bit. Now I still feel that there is a universe where something like a Fleet Footwork could be better in lanes that you can bully a lot, just because of the extra healing you get in lane to trade more, or even press the attack in lanes where again you can bully. Could be very good, because even though you don't do a lot of damage, you can still press the attack on enemies, and your ADC can be the one to do the damage. Especially here, you can see we have a Caitlyn Ashe lane, which is pretty much one of the most dominant lanes you can get. They both have insane range. Of course, I'm against a mirror match against the other Ashe, but here you can see where we can bully the Rakan pretty well. Press the attack procs onto Rakan from the Caitlyn, and they're literally both on 1 HP at this point. So here, I decide to go into jungle hunting as my Caitlyn clears the wave. I put a ward there. They pretty much have to cancel their back because they know I'm coming. They saw me leave the wave. And here they actually make the same mistake again. They actually try to back, and I'm actually able to kill the Ashe as she's backing in a pretty greedy position considering she knows that I'm coming. And Rakan is able to hop away to safety, of course, because he has mobility. I, of course, could try to flash after him, etc., but really there's no point. Master Yi now coming in for perhaps a gank, gets hit by my Arcane Combat for his efforts. And it's so far just him. Of course, Ashe and Rakan are headed back to lane, so we do want to be a little bit cautious of that. We do have ult now though, so we have a huge level advantage against them. Looks like they might want to go in because I do look really low, I do look really juicy. My Swain jungle is apparently somewhere in the area, and I'm picking up the fruit to ensure I'm in a healthy enough state. Master Yi is kind of just walking around, not quite sure what he's doing, just walking around, not really getting anything done. And yeah, so we're gonna go back to just trying to find harass, trying to find poke. And yeah, here we just land the poke. So as we are sticking to our game plan, I'm going to explain why Ashe support can be good and is relatively good in my opinion. Now, she's definitely not the same support she once was, where she could spam W's non-stop. But I would still say she's a decent support. She's definitely playable, definitely viable. Here, I'm just going to ult the enemy Ashe in the face, and we're going to finish her off. Caitlyn ulti will get the kill. Rakan refuses to block for his ADC for some reason. And yeah, Rakan now hops in. Again, I'm not quite sure what he's doing. He can't really kill us alone, so he gets rooted onto the Caitlyn trap. He goes down, and yeah, we do get another kill there. So now, how does Ashe support work? Well, number one, of course, you have slows. So on any support champion, having slows is always going to be good. You slow people with your W, you slow people with your auto attacks. Of course, you also kind of slow people with your ult after the stun expires. So slows, really good for chasing people down, really good for cutting enemies out, especially useful if they have, like, champions that don't really have dashes, but they just want to run at you, of course. And next up, you have your Q. So your Q, nothing very special, he's just giving you attack speed, but the main special thing about Q is the interaction with Black Cleaver, where if you pop your Q when you have Black Cleaver, you will be able to shred down someone's armor by 24% instantly with one auto attack, and that on Ashe support is, of course, very, very useful. So, other than that, of course, you have your W. Your W is, of course, your main tool to slow people, but aside from that, it's also a very good poke tool. Now, by itself, it has a very long cooldown, and it is still a very good poke tool despite the long cooldown. But when you combine your W with the fact you have Arcane Combat, you have Scorch, and you have Cheap Shot, one Q is going to do a lot of damage, because the slow is going to proc the Scorch, proc the Cheap Shot, and the Scorch is going to proc on your W as well. So W procs Arcane Combat, Scorch, and Cheap Shot at the same time, which especially in lane makes your damage really, really significant, and even throughout the game, your damage is always going to be good with the W. So next, of course, you have your E, your Hawk Shot, which of course lets you get vision, of course helps you check objectives. Here I'm getting the snipe onto Annie in mid, cross-map arrow there, which I'm going to get to in a moment. So Hawk Shot helps you check vision on objectives, helps you check vision in the enemy jungle, just helps you check bushes, etc. And of course, finally, you have your ult, which you just saw there. Cross-map pressure with your ulti. My Caitlyn gets engaged on, and I'm just free-firing onto whoever else I can, which is going to be the Ashe at this point. Caitlyn now just kiting away. I'm attacking Rakan to slow him down, and eventually Caitlyn is able to kite him out. Now, I think that if I'm not Ashe there, I think Caitlyn dies, because I think Rakan reaches her for the autos, and I think she dies. But I think really because I'm Ashe and I have slows, it helped my Caitlyn survive. So here, unfortunately, Annie comes in and one-shots my Caitlyn. Doesn't have any more spell cooldowns. However, I don't have any kind of damage to kill her, so I'm just gonna have to walk away. Can't really kill her there at all. But back to my point, the ulti. So the ulti, cross-map pressure, of course, helps you find picks for your team. Even more so now that you're Ashe support, because number one, when you're Ashe support, you get more damage because you have an AP item, which is Imperial Mandate, and number two, of course, hitting a cross-map stun when you're not there and your team is there is feels a lot better, because, for example, if you're Ashe ADC and you hit a cross-map stun, you know you could kill the guy if you were there, but you're simply not, because if you were, the duration just wouldn't be as long. Whereas if you are fighting as a support, you can get a cross-map ult and your team can just finish them off, which is, of course, going to be very, very ideal. So yeah, so here you can see we're using the Hawkshot check the dragon. Turns out they're not really doing it. And they're actually rotating mid. So here I'm gonna rotate mid as well, sending the arrow mid, but unfortunately it doesn't find any purchase. And here we're gonna hit over. And yeah, we spot the Master Yi out. We're trying to see if we can do anything. Camille goes a little bit deep, and I'm trying my best to help get my Camille out, but it's not happening. Here I'm just attacking basically whoever I can to try to slow them. Now Master Yi unfortunately can't be slowed, but he does end up overextending into 3 people and does end up going down regardless. So here we're again landing the poke. Whenever you can, you want to land that poke. It's going to not only land the 3 kinds of poke damage that I covered earlier, but it is also going to proc the Imperial Mandate. Now here, enemy backing a very greedy position. I try to slow the Annie down, but eventually kill the Annie. Trying to slow the Ashe down. Now I'm pretty much ignoring the Rakan, like no one cares about him. I try to get an arrow to either of them, but I miss both of them. And yeah, here I'm just free firing on Rakan. Trying to dodge his knockup, but doesn't quite work out. Now thankfully Master Yi does not actually land on either me or Kassadin. Instead he goes back to the minions, because I think we would have been in trouble if that was the case. Alright, so now we're at low health, low mana. We're gonna have to back to get back our resources. And yeah, despite the fact we're playing Ashe support, we have 4 kills and 6 assists. So yeah, we're doing pretty well on Ashe support. We actually have, I believe, the almost the most gold on our team. Caitlyn just got a bunch of gold there, so not quite, but if we look at us, we have more gold than the entire enemy team. So we're in a really good spot here. Cross-map arrow coming in to the team fight to help out. Boom, it hits onto the Fiora, who's now stuck there for a good 2+ seconds and can't join the fight. Eventually, it is of course able to join the fight, but I'm delaying enough time for my team to kind of get something done. The Kassadin gets his cooldowns back, goes in, and here I'm trying to help him get the kill onto the Fiora, which I do. Proccing it also gives him that movement speed. So here, my 1 HP Kassadin is getting run down by the Rakan. So look at this, look at the slows. I'm just spam attacking the Rakan. Rakan cannot catch up to Kassadin. He's running after Rakan, running after Kassadin, but you can see he's slowly getting chipped away. I eventually decide just to ult him and finish him off, sidestepping the knockup and just killing him 100-0 there, literally. Yeah, so we may not do a lot of damage, but if you let us attack you for like a long while, you're gonna die eventually. So you can see on the enemy team, basically the only shield they have is Annie's E, and that's really not very significant. So in this match, we don't go for Serpent's Fang, of course, because there's no need to. Instead, we're gonna go into Black Cleaver. Our team, of course, we have a very fed Caitlyn, we have a very fed Camille as well. So going for that Black Cleaver, boom, another long-range arrow hits, getting the kill onto the full HP Rakan. But yeah, getting the Black Cleaver allows us to shred down the enemies and allows you know, our 2 most fed members to, of course, actually technically they're not the 2 most fed. Kassadin is technically the most fed, but of course there's no AP equivalent to Black Cleaver in terms of shredding magic resist. So allows our 2 you know, strongest AD champions to deal more damage to the enemy team, which is why, you know, Black Cleaver is a very supportive item on Ashe. So here you can see that I basically already done that onto the Fiora, and you can see that even I'm doing a decent amount of damage to Fiora. Now here Kassadin is going in. I'm gonna ult here to get the Fiora off my back. I'm just gonna get the kill on, or Kassadin's Ignite is gonna get the kill on Fiora. Now here, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the replay tool, but yeah, here I'm gonna try to run down the Ashe. I'm trying to zoom in and zoom out of the replay tool to get back to the proper view, but it's a little bit challenging. I didn't actually know you could zoom in and out on the replay tool to that extent, so yeah, I'm kind of figuring out the replay tool as I go. I'm trying to zoom in and zoom out to get to the back to the correct view. But yeah, a little bit of technical difficulties there. Nothing of too much concern. So here I spot a fight happening at the top lane, and this is a classic Ashe situation. Time for the cross-map arrow. We're aiming for Master Yi. Boom! Arrow connects on Master Yi. Takes out about a third of his health, and he gets one-shot by Camille and Kassadin. So that's kind of the ideal Ashe play. You land a cross-map arrow, your team kills them for you. And now I'm here at the fight, slowing down the Fiora, and as well as the Rakan, being able to shred them down with the Cleaver, as well as, you know, activate the slows, the poke, all of the good stuff. I get stunned by Annie, not very important. Rakan eventually dies. The enemy Ashe ults onto us, but I'm gonna shred her armor, and Caitlyn finishes everyone off. I mean, minusing the enemy's armor by 24% is huge for a carry like Caitlyn. That's like almost like having a free mole reminder, extra like mole reminder there, which is insane. Master Yi tries to run us down, but he runs straight into my Ashe arrow, and Caitlyn once again finishes him off. So now I've got my Caitlyn super duper fed. She's 11, 3, and 4. At this point, 11k gold, most fed member of the game by a large margin. And for some reason, Fiora is chasing us down. Like, she hasn't learned. We just slow her down, and yeah, she dies to Caitlyn as well. Now, if Rakan comes in, he's gonna suffer the same fate. But it looks like he has smartened up a little bit and decides to actually back off. Speaking of which, I'm now gonna back off as well because I'm running out of mana, and I kind of need to, you know, back to get some mana. So here, I'm actually going for another cross map arrow. Let's see if it actually hits. Boom! It actually accidentally KS's on the Rakan because it does a little bit too much damage. But here, we are going for a mole reminder next. Not because we of course need armor penetration, but really because we want the Grievous boost. Now you could argue you could go for Camp on Chainsword as well, which yes, true, but why not just go for mole reminder? You know, you get some damage as well. You know, Master Yi now running down the Kassadin, that's not very good, and of course I can't quite slow him. Camille goes in with the ulti, Caitlyn ult also goes in. Now I'm slowing the Fiora. Tried to arrow her, but I missed. I actually ended up hitting the Rakan in the base to prevent him from joining the fight, which was a little bit unintentional. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, we do end up doing our job relatively successfully for the most part. Caitlyn does end up dying though, unfortunately, so there's our most pet member gone. Our Swain decides to go in by himself, and there's not a lot I can really do to help him. Camille decides that she wants to fight, so I'm gonna have to come over and help her. Proccing onto the Rakan to give her the movement speed. I get the stun onto the Rakan, allowing her to catch up. Stasis comes in from the Annie, but she's gonna die shortly after anyways. I'm here now. Camille's running down the Ashe. Unfortunately, Master Yi now comes into the picture, and I'm trying my best to slow down the Master Yi. It actually happens, and Master Yi actually dies to Camille, but I'm not able to save her from the Ashe, and Ashe picks up a pretty huge shutdown. Now, I can see my Kassadin coming. I'm walking back up, and Ashe doesn't know what hit her. Gets one shot by the Kassadin, 100 to 0. For the most part, and the enemy team chooses to surrender. So yeah, no deaths on the Ashe game. Can see how Ashe support can actually still be insanely good given the right enemy team comp. And I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. So thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.